Every founder wants to build something that lasts, but so many of them get distracted chasing trends, chasing hype, chasing fast growth. Almond Surfboards took the opposite approach. They went after small waves, slow mornings, and to show a belief that craftsmanship still matters.
So we started building boards for waves that were small and windy and waist high, because that was what we were surfing.
That one decision to serve the real customer instead of this overly idealistic one turned Almond into one of the most trusted names in surf culture. This episode isn't about surfing. It's about building a brand that will endure. And Dave Allee's approach to building this brand shows that patience, clarity, and conviction still win. How staying small built global trust. Why he rejected the hype and the rule that's guiding everything he's made. Never trade tomorrow's trust for today's win. This is Anatomy of a Brand, where every week I talk with people shaping culture, founders, marketers, entrepreneurs, and creatives to uncover what drives great brands forward so yours never settles. This is episode 20 with Almond Surfboard founder and CEO, Dave Allee. All right, Dave, thanks for jumping on with us today, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
Happy to be here.
Well, let's jump right in, man. I want you, if you could describe Almond without describing what it is that you do, the products you make and the services you offer, the things like that. If you had to describe Almond, how would you describe it?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would say at the core of our kind of brand ethos or our offer is we want to invite our customers to maybe see the underutilized resource and maximize that and kind of celebrate the underutilized resource of, like, in our instance, it's crappy 2-foot waves. But so within that, there's a lot of like messages and things we want to lean into, but that would be kind of like the core thing is like,
so for you
meeting
guys,
our
the
customers
core.
where they're at. Yeah. It's like being realistic about like who our customer is and what they face.
Okay, so obviously with that, people lean into the idea that Almond Surf makes surfboards and things like that, and we'll dive a little bit more into your product. But what I'm intrigued by what you said already is an underutilized or undervalued or underappreciated resource that is 2 to 4 foot waves. I have it in my notes even how you've kind of rejected some of the mass hype around surfboards, and it sounds like there's a group of people, you're like, this group of people doesn't have an advocate or something like that. Like, what's the energy behind that way of looking at waves?
I think it started out of just pure pragmatism. Like growing up in Costa Mesa, Newport Beach is right there. The waves are not that great. It's like it can get good, but the average day is like small and windy and waist high. So we started building boards for waves that were small and windy and waist high. And then because that was what we were surfing. And so then that became kind of the brand identity. It was like, let's just lean into it. Like, we're not the only ones who this is our identity. You look at a surf film or a surf magazine, and those are really cool, aspirational things to devour. But then you look out to the beach and you're like, it does not look like the Mentawai Islands out here. So we're going to like celebrate it. So I guess like the first iteration of that was like 2 feet and firing was kind of our like rallying cry of like, it might be 2 feet, but with the right attitude, like it can be really fun.
That's amazing. So you guys kind of tapped into this idea that your surfboards are not going to be those ones in those magazines that are like in those big barrels. And was that ever going to be the goal? Like, hey, we'll get there. Or were you like, no, this is our market. This is who we're going to be serving. And we're not changing that. Was that ever a conversation, or was it just like, hey, we're just going to keep doing what we know it's in front of us? How did you guys see that?
I think our brand offering kind of represents like the reality for most people. Like, sure, there are those days. Those days make up 1 or 2% of the surf experience. So it's like we make a few boards for those kind of waves, but not a lot. Most of the boards we make are for like the way we say it is like exceptional surfboards for everyday waves. So there are those days when it's really good. Like I just surfed with a bunch of buddies like a week and a half ago, and it was like awesome. It was like really good, and I was on a peak with like 6 friends just trading waves and hooting and hollering and that whole thing. That happens like once or twice a year. So like you do want to be ready for those days, but you also want to be realistic about just meeting people where they're at and serving those folks to give them the most fun just 365 days a year.
Did you have to wrestle anybody on your team to stay in that lane? Like, was there ever a conversation around like people being like, we got to go for more? And you're like, no, dude, this is where we are. Like, was there ever a tension there?
Kind of. So I grew up longboarding. Our shaper Griffin, who he and I linked up in 2008. So we've been working together for over 17 years now. He grew up shortboarding. So we kind of had this immediate tension of like, my influences were different than his influences. I was really into like the 1960s and kind of hearkening back to this timeless era of like the golden age of surfing in California. Griffin was more like, I want these things to work and go good and turn. And so that was like I think that like tug of war landed us squarely in the middle where we're not like a retro throwback brand, but we're not like a high performance brand. We're like a just pragmatic, the quality thing still has to be super high, but like in terms of like what we're designing for is I would say kind of in that like sweet spot in the middle.
So, okay, I'm going to show you a picture. This is an interesting segue. I'm going to show you a picture we have, and then I want you to kind of like, you to tell me what you feel when you see this picture. You can even describe what this picture is for those that are only listening to the podcast. But I'm going to show you a picture, describe it, tell me about it, especially from what kind of like you're launching off of right there. So.
Okay. That is a photo of my dad and I when I was about 19.
Bro, you look
running
ripped.
You
look ripped.
I think it's favorable shadows. Or I was more ripped at 19 than I am at 39. We're running a big slab of balsa wood through a table saw in my childhood backyard. The first board I ever built, I spent a year on. It was like a garage project with my dad. My dad's like an engineer, always did projects in the garage. He's kind of like Stone Crandall, our mutual friend, who's like always fixing up old cars. Like he did an old Land Rover,
driving his Humvee,
an old Land Cruiser. So like, yeah, exactly. My dad hasn't dipped into the Humvee world quite yet, but he's got a really cool like late 60s Land Cruiser happening right now. But that was kind of how we bonded, was like projects in the garage. So like the first surfboard we ever made was like, literally, I thought it was the only surfboard we would ever do. I'm like, oh, let's just spend our time on it. This is probably the only surfboard we'll ever make. I just want to like go through that process and kind of like to say I've done it. So we spent a year on that first board. So that was us. That photo you showed was us ripping the like slab of balsa apart to then cut the rocker profile into each piece, then glue it back together, then put your outline on it, and then start like shaping it and foiling it and all the things that make it a finished surfboard. But that's a throwback.
Was Almond ever an idea? You still have the board?
Oh yeah, that was it's like the first board you ever make. It's like you can't turn loose of it. I surfed it like one time. It's super heavy, but it's kind of a cool memory to have.
Yeah. And was that the origins of Almond, or did Almond start somewhere else?
So I was 19 at the time. I was in college studying business, and I think Almond, or like my hypothetical surfboard or surf brand, was like the filter that I would run everything through as I'm like sitting in class. I'm like, just how would this apply to my like imaginary business? And so Almond literally came from me doodling in the margins of my notes in college, just like kind of drawing waves, drawing surfboards, trying to come up with like, what would I call it? I never expected to be the guy to do it. I just kind of like, it was like you just doodling in the margins. Like,
were you going to do a different business? Was there something else that was on your horizon?
It's like you grow up in like Costa Mesa, Newport. Everyone's in like commercial real estate. Like you just assume like, oh, that's like that is the path. So I honestly, I graduated Chapman University in 2008. I thought I would do the surfboard thing for like a year and then get a real job. And then we've just kind of stubbornly been paddling in the same direction now for 17 years.
So then take me to a little bit deeper into that origins of Almond here for a second. So that you're doodling on the edges of your notes for college and business, learning business, doodling this concept, looking at names, waves, all this stuff. How did you land on, we'll start with, how did you land with Almond? Like, how did that name come to be? Because I love naming it, but it's also one of the most frustrating things for me because I'm so critical. So how did you land on Almond?
So I liked Almond because it appeared a lot of places in the natural world. It's like California's #1 export. It's a food, it's a shape, it's a color, it's a flavor. And it just kind of like all those things kind of resonated with me. It felt like very like natural and organic without being like overtly related to the ocean. And then as you're doodling it, like this is why I think it's so important to like do the analog thing, right? Like as you're doodling it, you start to like, oh, I like the shape of this word. I like that it's 6 letters. I can break it up by 2 or by 3. You know, it's like as you're drawing it, it's like AL is tall, MON is short, and then it ends with a tall D again. Like it just was like, and I knew there, because there was not a lot of like meaning there. The only loose one would be like an almond shaped barrel, which is like not the kind of waves that we're after anyway. But there was no real meaning. So I just knew like when you first tell someone, we're going to call it Almond Surfboards, that makes no sense to them. So because there's no meaning there yet, other than whatever you might think of when you think of almonds, we get to ascribe the meaning. So like we could just plant our flag in that word, own that word, and then we get to decide what that word means. So for us, that was going to be timeless aesthetic, super high quality. I want to build boards that are going to be used and enjoyed for like decades to come. Like that was kind of like the original premise. It's like, if I'm inspired by boards from the 1960s that are 40 some odd years old, I want to build boards that 40, 50 years from now, some kid's going to pick up and be like, oh my gosh, look at this. But that requires a certain level of like patience to like build products that will be enjoyed 45 years later.
Okay, so then from there, like the visuals, obviously you're doing it's so funny because I was talking to my wife the other day about a thing she's trying to develop, and she was telling me a word, and I like, this is so funny because she was telling me the word she was thinking, and I was like, I like that word because it's visually appealing. It has all these different things that you're describing. I'm like, I think the same way about words where like, do they actually appeal? How does that is there a letter that complements that is size-wise? So you decided almond because of all the different areas. I love the idea of you get to ascribe the meaning to this thing because it's not a constant kind of in the surf industry, a word you would hear regularly. You get to describe it. You get to fill it in people's minds and consciousness. How did visuals play in? And what stage did visuals play in? Were they like immediately, or was it like boards first, don't care about the visuals, only boards? Like what was that next step?
I think because I was doodling so much, I was drawing so many little logos and like, what's the logo going to look like on the board? And I really at that time wanted it to be kind of like a subtle little like mark that like wasn't just like some big logo just plastered on. And a lot of that is a rejection of what had been coming in like the early 2000s. Like in the early 2000s, things are still very like bright and bold and big logos. And so for me, I was trying to like fit into this other kind of like emerging ride everything ethos. And there was like some really good surf films in that era that were like super formative. So you're kind of, you're looking at these like other cues and kind of trying to figure out like where you want to fit into the market. But it was just a lot of like, again, like earthy colors, more like retro inspired, timeless logos, things that like just understated and kind of low key.
And that's the thing about almond. When I look at almond just on a visual standpoint, and then when I look at the content, the website, different things, one of the things that comes to my mind is like these bonfires in the evening, like these like slower times, but then also you're getting like up early and you get a great cup of coffee together, but then there's just this like craftsmanship. Odds are you're probably talking about things that you're putting your hands to. If you're connected to almond, there's like this craftsmanship to it. It's not this mass commercial thing. I'm sure you've had to like resist the urge to convert into some like different way. Or maybe you didn't. Maybe that was never a thing. And you're like, no, dude, I never had the urge to change how this showed up. Or did you? What's your thoughts there?
I mean, we've certainly gone through several iterations over the years. I would say I really do care deeply for our customers, and I want to like help shift and move culture without adding to the noise. So whether it's like the open fire potluck dinners that we do on the front lawn, or the early enough and like surf club meetups once a month in the mornings, or me just writing articles, literally you said it, but like I've written articles that are just like, hey guys, slow down, just slow down. And it's just, I'm like preaching at our audience out of just purely like desiring for them to like tap into the best things that surfing has to offer and that living in community has to offer, and trying to like find things that are like non-transactional and ways for us to just like improve their journey. Everyone's on like various parts of this like journey of life. So how can we help make surfing a part that like contributes to that in a positive way. And
you said
we've
something
had
there.
Go ahead.
Sorry, you said something that I wanted to call out. You said it so quickly, and I love it when I talk to like founders of brands, because things that they do that seem normal, and they just say them, and I'm like, wait, pause. Like the idea of like you're articulating something on a consistent basis when you're writing something, that you feel the sense of like, I've got to shape how people think. Where does that come? There's two things you said that I really want to kind of dive into for a second. One, there's an urge inside of you to shape how people think. What is that? Where is that? Like, what is that? Like versus somebody's like, I just want to make a cool product.
Probably having done the same thing for so long, you just can't help but kind of like look at society, reflect on the conversations that occur within the surf shop setting. I have so many friends who are like fellow entrepreneurs. So we're having these like kind of deep, like thoughtful conversations all the time, and really wanting to like, I don't know, encourage people to like live the best version of it. Like I would say I'm like fairly critical of like how easy it is to slip into just like bad habits. And I'm guilty of this too. I'm like trying to be a man of discipline and wake up early and read and I'm like getting back to like, I don't want to say journaling again, because I feel like that's kind of funny, but I'm getting back to trying to like write stuff down again before I like let this disastrous thing invade my day. So just, it's that kind of like genuine love for our customers and our friends and the people that we serve. And just.
I mean, it says something about you, that it says something about you as a leader, that you have a sense of value, not an inflated sense of value on your voice or an inflated sense of understanding the impact you could have, but understanding that you have something to contribute. And I think that's such a like overlooked thing when you see founders start to, because the way that the world looks at it now is like create content, make stuff, do things, versus like, wait, you actually have something you want to say that feels like it impacts the way people view the world. It's a very different thing than simply saying you need to make content because you're a founder and you do like, no, that's a different thing. Okay. But you said another thing. Quick? Oh yeah, please. Like, let's riff. Let's go.
So I really do believe that small businesses and brands shape culture, whether they're creating something that people look at and say, oh, that they're putting out something that I see myself in, or just the general optimism. Like I think we kind of traffic in optimism in a way where when there's new businesses opening up and cool things happening, it's like, it kind of opens everyone's mind to like what's possible. So we do have a responsibility as brand owners to foster and grow just optimism and creativity. And so when, I guess like I feel like a sense of responsibility, both as an entrepreneur, as a dad, as a man of faith, just to like foster this overall optimism. And I would say that's like kind of been a driving force of a lot of our decision making over the years.
You couldn't have said something that was like more spot on for how I see brands and why I even work with brands. I had a conversation with somebody where I said, why did I shift what I was doing to working with brands? And it was because I saw that brands are shaping culture more than most things. And I said, if I wanted to shape culture, I want to dive into the thing that is shaping culture. And I'm like, brands are doing that. So I want to jump in on shaping that thing, trying to go higher up this chain and higher up into the source of how culture is made. I love that, man. So you made these boards, you started making your business model, you started developing it. Were you successful right away, or did it suck? Or was it like it took you a while to get off the ground, or was it like immediately we had traction?
The bar we had to clear those early days was so low. Like our rent was like $400 a month. I found this little tiny store, opened it in March of 2009. So like it was just me, 500 square feet, and like a few friends. Like we had Griffin the Shaper. My brother was there taking pictures. He was still in high school at the time. Like my sister eventually came on as help with the accounting because she realized I was just a mess. My friend Cam was doing some like video and photo and graphic design work. So it's just like, it was like a clubhouse, and we were just like the young, scrappy kids. I was 22 when I opened a retail store in my hometown. So it's like, we were just like, and I was the oldest one. Like we were like scrappy kids just trying to like patch this thing together. But really like there was definitely days where I was like, if we don't sell a surfboard today, I don't have money to put gas in my car to get to work. And then we, praise God, sell a surfboard. Yeah. And it just was kind of just always barely enough to kind of keep going. And so it's just been this like slow, steady, incremental growth. And, you have to figure it, 2009, that's like that's pre Shopify, that's pre, and maybe Instagram was around, but like pre
Right there.
Instagram, like we were kind of ahead of all this like wave of technology. So like the business we have today is very different than the one we had then, where we didn't even have an e-com store for the first couple of years we were in business, and now it's 80% of our business is e-commerce.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I would say the bar we had to clear was so low that I couldn't start it over from scratch today, just with the cost of living and being a dad of 2 kids. But I was 22. I had no living expenses.
Yeah. Are you so that obviously locations were a priority for you out the gate, like that you had to have something that people could go buy a surfboard at. But another thing you said the other day that said in the conversation here was about these, even you have a hat on that says Early and Often Surf Club. There's something about in real life activations you guys are doing from your store. Are they happening? Like, are they meeting up at the retail store? Or is there like just a location? It seems like you're fostering a in real life experience for your customers that's different than just selling e-commerce.
Yeah, I think that just came from like looking at the whole scope of what I wanted the brand to be and realizing the parts that you can't convey in the retail store. And for us, like even as a team, we weren't getting together and surfing often enough. So we just had this idea a couple of years ago of like, what if like once a month on a Friday or Saturday morning, we just drop a pin and say, hey, we're going to be surfing here. Come join us. Bring your own board. We'll be there. Like we'll bring a carafe of coffee and my brother will come take photos. You can see photos of yourself surfing, but like, let's just go get in the water together. And it's like, it's not a board demo because that seems too transactional. It's just kind of like, hey, literally, we'll see you on Friday morning, rain or shine, we'll be out there. And it's been honestly like as rewarding as anything we've done. I really get a kick out of it. And I am so thankful we started doing it. But a lot of those kind of things, like there wasn't this like grand master plan heading into it. It was just kind of like, it felt like the right thing to do. And even like we have like all these free ebooks and we have free downloadable surfboard templates. If you want to make your own surfboard, like we've just been like, if you want to make your own surfboard, here's a template, get started, do it. Here's an ebook on like how to shape your own surfboard. It makes no sense for a surf brand to do. And I think we did it just because it felt like the right thing at the time to just like give value away and help there's so many people who were so generous with me in the early stages that I want to be that for others. But then you look back and you're like, there's a lot of smarter marketing people who are like, oh yeah, you got these lead generators and these things and it's free. And I'm like, oh yeah, we were doing that. We didn't know what we were doing. We were just kind of like doing the stuff and you're putting words to it in a way that we didn't really like even know at the time.
You're just like, I'm legitimately trying to help my customer. Legitimately.
We know that if we keep investing in them, that like it will come back towards us. But I think it was like in more of a broad, patient sense.
I love that. So you have these in real life experiences happening with your brand. Before we get into some of these really fun collaborations you guys have done and going from this young guy who makes this surf company to them working with some really cool brands, but the journey there, what was one of the most like pivotal times either for the brand or for you as a leader where you look back on and you're telling that story maybe often to your staff, new people that are coming on? Is there a story that has shaped kind of your culture more than another story?
I would say there's been a couple of instances where we've had to kind of like put all the chips to the middle of the table and like bet on, like I would say the first one was 2015. Previous to that, we had gotten like really big into clothing. We were like doing a cut and sew shirts and pants and jackets and board shorts and the whole thing. And I kind of woke up one day and was like, I hate this. There's so much waste at every step. I hate having to redesign the line every season. I didn't like it. And I understand there's people who like that. They love it. And I'm thankful for those people. I realized at that time, it was conventional wisdom said, you can't build a business on a hard good because the margins aren't good enough. But my counter to that was we've sold every surfboard we've ever made. We've never put one in the trash. So sell-through is 100%. So there's like very minimal waste. If we could just figure out how to do that thing better, then I think we could beat conventional wisdom and actually build a business on the hard goods. So that was 2015. From 2015 to 2018, I spent kind of behind the scenes with our manufacturing partner developing what would become our R series, which is like these mold injected foam surfboards. It's kind of more entry level, price point friendly, durable, USA made. It's kind of our take on a soft top. So 2018, we're like about to really release our first soft top. And I would say that was the first time I was like scared to release something because we've been known as this like bespoke custom surfboard manufacturer, glassed on wood fins, big heavy longboards. And here we are going to introduce our own like recyclable USA made foamy. Like it just kind of felt like and I'm kind of like a little bit maniacal about our customers' trust. Like I don't want to mess with our customers' trust. So this to me was like our first, like, we're kind of taking a little bit of a leap of faith here in putting out something that they're not going to expect. And now, you know, and the fear is it going to cannibalize the sales of our custom boards, you know, all this stuff. Now that's our most important product category. It's our number one revenue driver, number one profit driver. And it has elevated our custom surfboard business because we've made ourselves available to a broader audience. And we didn't really, you know, like change fundamentally who we were as a brand. It was just a different product category. So, our foamy
did you shut down? And did you shut down the apparel stuff?
Yeah, in 2015. We do printables and we do collaborations and stuff, but we don't do any cut and sew anymore.
So you had invested a ton, which cut and sew takes a ton of time and investment to develop. You're planning the next year, the year before that. You're like, and then you're just
buying fabric, driving it to the cutter, picking it up from the cutter, driving it to the sewer, taking it to the wash house, getting all the trims. You know, it's just like.
And then you're like, we're not going to do it anymore.
Yeah, no,
we're not going to do it anymore. And then did anybody resist you? Did you feel a sense of like, or were you just even yourself? Like, I know you mentioned you're kind of like, we're going to do this because your internal like conventional wisdom. But was there a moment where someone was like, hey, that's a really bad idea? Or like, was everybody like, we hate this too?
I think our customers were bummed when we stopped doing the cut and sew stuff. I would say most of our customers were stoked or at least understood the R series foamies. There was a few people who were like, what? This is lame. And you're like, okay. But like the percentage of people that is. I think very early on I learned you have to stop worrying with like the 6 people in the Blackies parking lot, which is a surf spot in Newport. But the 6 people in the Blackies parking lot are going to say or think, and like focus on the other 99.5% of the people that you serve. Because we all have those like, you know,
let's go.
The voices that have too much power in our ear.
Yeah. Bro, okay, so let me ask you one question around that, and then we'll dive into your collaborations here. You've said before, like in some of the stuff you've written or talked about, that you made a conscious decision to not try to be all things to all people. Like there, even in what you're saying there, like you can't have those people in your ear about this. You've got to actually. How often are you calling that back to yourself, like as a leader? Like how often are you having to like put that in front of you to remind yourself?
Semi-constantly. I mean, you're always kind of like in your head trying to like figure out, is there better ways or a smarter way? Are we doing the right stuff? And business is just a lot more complicated than it was when we first started. Like, you know, you have to have all your email flows tightened up. When's the last time you checked those? Have you optimized your website for this, that, and the other? And it's, you know, it's like we're, to a certain degree, you kind of have to like battle all these multiple fronts at the same time. But knowing who we are, where we add the most value, and having a kind of a long view perspective of the brand, I think kind of keeps some of that up and down in check.
That's good. I love that. All right, let's jump into some of your collaborations. You've done some remarkable stuff with some really fun brands, from Huckberry to Porsche to Seeger to Quiksilver to Rivian. Hit me with the high notes. Like, what's some of the ones that you're like, this was a really fun project because of this?
I love brand partnerships because it allows us to kind of play in a different sandbox and find the Venn diagram for where 2 different brands like kind of overlap. So I've been saying a lot lately, like just make cool stuff with people you like. And so the brand partnerships thing has been really fun because it kind of stretches us outside of our normal comfort zone, but in a way where you're doing this dance with someone else and finding that sweet spot. So the Porsche one is a big one. We get asked about that one a lot. That's kind of a funny story.
They came to you?
Literally. Yeah, 2 people from Porsche walked through the front door of our shop one day. This is like March of 2024? March of 2024.
Wow.
And they were just kind of asking questions. What do you guys do? Like they came in with purpose, but they were like, tell us about the boards you make. And I'm just giving them the kind of normal, like, you know, dog and pony show about like the craftsmanship that goes into it and the shaping process. And these are the wood stringers. And then it gets wrapped in fiberglass and the colors get hand mixed and you pour the color on. And once the color's on, it's set. And like, I'm just kind of giving the whole thing. And they're like, cool. Well, would you want to make some surfboards for us? And I'm thinking for like a trade show booth or, you know, we get asked that kind of stuff all the time. So I'm like, yeah, sure. No problem. Like, what do you want? And so they sent over some like mock-ups that their team had done. I was like, yeah, we could do that. Or what if we did this? And I just pitched them this like crazy, like nostalgia play of like things that are just kind of dripping in timeless 1960s California. Go back to the earliest days of the Porsche 911 because that came out in like 1963. And so I'm like, let's pick some colors from your archives and we can put them on the boards. And
wow.
They were like, you should come to our office. And I was like, okay, great. I guess the pitch kind of came after. They kind of told me to come to the office. I'm like, why am I going to your office for like a couple boards for a thing? And then when they sat down, they're like, hey, we want to do like a whole capsule with you, surfboards, apparel. Wow. And that's when I was like, oh my gosh, this is a way different conversation than the one I thought we were having. So that's when I guess I came back in with the like, let's do this full nostalgia play, go into your archives, pull these colors. And just like the idea of like a classic 1960s Porsche driving down PCH with a surfboard on top and palm trees. Yeah. I feel like that there was something there that I wanted to play in. So that was like a really fun project and it performed really well for them. It was fun. They gave us like a lot of creative freedom. I mean, they were very involved and there was checks at every point, but you know, we got to do the graphic design, the video, the photo shoots, we kind of did the whole thing and they let us play along.
Let's go.
So that was a fun one.
Okay. I have maybe this is an interesting question to ask, but it's my ears perked up when I saw this collaboration and I was like, I want to ask him this because on the face value, learning about you guys, what you do, and then seeing a collab with Quiksilver, I'm like, those worlds don't feel like the same exact thing, though they are surf. You have this like craftsmanship, like slowed down, like almost like hypercraft localized. Quiksilver feels this global, like, I want to know you said the Venn diagram where these things overlap. Tell me how that worked for you.
So that one was super different than the Porsche thing. The Porsche thing was like, we're going to like scheme this collection together and tell this whole story and write a script and do the voiceover and the whole thing. The Quiksilver one was kind of more of like a private label thing where they were doing like, so our marquee team rider, Andy Nieblas, is sponsored by Quiksilver. So he's kind of their like, I don't want to say token because that seems like demeaning.
Yeah,
but like,
I hear you.
He's like their longboard guy.
Yeah.
He's got a mustache and long hair. He rides a longboard as well as anybody. He's just one of those like magnetic characters where I always say like no one in the water is having more fun than Andy Nieblas, and it just is like super contagious. So Quiksilver like saw that and was like, this is so different than what we have. So he's been riding for Quik for a number of years and he's done like signature board shorts with them. He's been in their marketing campaigns. So they wanted to use Andy for this Pacifico collection that they were doing. And so they tasked us with building like a whole slew of surfboards with like the Quiksilver Pacifico branding, and the colors were actually wrapped. Like the boards turned out really beautiful. It was like a little bit different than what we would typically do, but we were able to kind of like inject a little bit of our like sensibility into something that would be typically very unexpected. Like typically if you're thinking Quiksilver and Pacifico are making these surfboards, they're going to go out to retail. They would just be like, whatever we can get, like just print the logos on. So the fact that they took the time and care to like, no, we want these to be like more authentic. I good on that. I thought it was really cool. So
that actually really appealed to you then at that point. Yeah. At that point, that appeals to you because it appeals to your sensibilities. It appeals to your ethos. It wasn't simply just like let's just throw your logo on some stuff thing next to our logo and call it a day. There was some real energy.
When people see Andy surfing, they're just like drawn to it. Like shortboarders, longboarders are just like, oh, that guy's like rad. So whatever we could do to kind of help elevate him is
that's cool.
Is good.
Okay, so tell me about another collaboration. Let's dive into the Rivian one because I just test drove one for fun and just for funsies. I just drove down to downtown Franklin here in Tennessee, just outside of Nashville, just to drive one, just to go around and see what it's like. So you guys have known them for a really long time. you were mentioning a little bit of a connection there.
Yeah, they've been based here in Orange County for a long time. So they like people from their design team were coming into the shop and like buying posters and little things for their like inspiration boards since like long before they ever unveiled the first R1T at the LA Auto Show. So we've kind of been like, and we're like, so what are you doing? And they're like, oh, we're from this company. It's called Rivian. We're making this electric adventure truck. And I'm like, I don't even know what this looks like. I'm already like, I'm in. Like whatever electric adventure truck means, like that just sounds rad. So yeah, we've been kind of like in like friendly cahoots collaboration with them, or just conversation with them for a lot of years. So then as they've kind of like rolled out like this really adventure first lifestyle automotive brand.
It's true.
We've been stoked to do custom surfboards for them with their truck colors. We did a line of the R Series foamies with them with some art that they developed. When they opened they have kind of like a marquee store here in Laguna Beach where they took over this old vintage theater and they host like awesome events in there, like live music and films. And they have like a gear shop. So the gear shop is like our surfboards and our fins and some of the guidebooks that I wrote and all their Rivian, like, you know, they have like proper industry people with chops. Like they don't have just like Rivian merch. It's like they have like real like performance jackets and like their t-shirts are like really nice. Like they have people from like Patagonia and Lululemon and like all these like surf industry people. So like they've hired really well. And I just really love their whole like keep Nashville adventures forever, keep Laguna adventures forever. I think that whole like ethos of like keep it adventures forever really resonates.
Yes.
So they're fun to work with. They've hired so well. They've got great people over there.
Dude, and as soon as you said they were coming to your shop to grab posters and things, when I went into the Rivian store, now I'm thinking a little bit about some of the things I saw on the wall, some of the energy and different. I'm like, oh yeah, there's definitely some influence of that from that way. I like that, man. Was there ever a collaboration that came your way that you were like, nah, this isn't going to work? You don't have to say their name, but you could say like maybe why you didn't pick it. You could say like, this doesn't really work because of this. You don't have to say the name, but I'm just intrigued.
Yeah, for sure.
You're like, yes.
I think there's been a lot ever since we did the Porsche one. There's been a lot more inbound stuff.
Okay.
So we've just been kind of fielding those, and there's some that just don't feel like a brand fit. Or it's funny when you hear people repeat your brand back to you in their eyes, and they're like, "Oh, we think that this art would look awesome on your surfboards," and then they show you, and you're like, "Whoa! If that's what you think our brand is, I'm doing my job wrong." And I mean that all due respect, is just like I know who I think we are, and that's not it. Or like just what your business is about just ain't it. So there's just like certain lines that's like, no, we're good. Like we don't have to say yes to everyone. We can't say yes to everyone. So we're a little picky and choosy, but like, you know, that's because we're very blessed and fortunate to just have the opportunity to work with a bunch of people that we just really, really like.
So if you could describe you guys in the industry, how would you describe you guys amongst others? Like, how would you go, this is us? Like you were saying, if this is the way you see our brand, then I'm doing something wrong. So how would you then describe that brand experience?
Earthy, muted colors. Like I love drawing color inspiration for our surfboards from the natural world. Timeless, understated graphics, kind of type heavy. I think the timeless thing is really what it is. Like I want some kid 40 years from now to pick up one of our boards or pick up one of our t-shirts or pick up one of our books and be like, this is so sick. And so having that long view of trying to make things that are going to be relevant for a really long time helps you avoid a lot of like trend chasing that might otherwise occur. And that's probably like the defining thing. And it's like that timeless and functional thing where you want to build things that are like of extraordinary utility to serve people well with the timeless aesthetic, but also not take it so seriously because like at the end of the day, surfing is meant to be fun. So we are still like, we can still pull in little elements of like things can be fun and light and still be craftsmen and so
that quality. I love
dance.
that. I love that so much. What's one thing as a leader, we're going to begin to wrap up here. I got a couple more questions. What's one thing as a leader you would say, this is what's changed in me? Like, this is what's changed in me as I've built this brand over the course of, you said 15 years. Is that right? Like
17.
How long? 17. Like, what's the thing that's changed in you the most?
Probably stronger conviction around like the why behind the what. And then personally just try to be a more clear and direct communicator. I can like talk in all these things and someone looks at me and goes, what did you just say? So I just try to be like very direct as a leader, because I have all these thoughts of all these things that I want to bake into the thing that is that we do, but distilling it down into a very clear formula has been part of the process.
What would you say you're most excited about for the future for Almond? Like, what's something that you're like, this is the most exciting thing for me right now?
This is a bit news breaking because we haven't really talked about this publicly. We're going to be doing a 2.0 version of our R series next year. So it's a lighter, faster, stronger version of our R series boards. Kind of the first like significant level up that we've had since we launched that in 2018. So that'll be coming next year. And
does that come with a whole, like, you're now rolling out a whole new, you start with a strategy, campaign, all this stuff? Like, are you already in that, like thinking through how we're going to launch this?
Yep. Yeah. Cause it'll be like a spring launch in advance of summer of next year. So we've got the next 5-6 months to kind of build out all those things. So there's that. And then, I'm constantly like inspired and curious about the world around me. That's led me to like a lot of different other paths, like those potluck dinner clubs that we do. I started a bison jerky business with my wife and sister and brother-in-law. Like, there's just a lot of expressions of the things that I like and am interested in. So just trying to stay super curious, like know who I am and where I add value as like kind of a brand architect, but then just remain like wildly curious about the people around me and interested and invested in those folks.
What we'll land with this. Someone comes to work for you at Almond. What's one of the things you're saying, like you're telling them, like what is in your mind? You're like, I got to share this with them when they come and work with us or work for us.
There would probably be something around don't do anything to like leverage tomorrow's trust for a win today. Like no short-term things. Like don't.
Let's go.
When in doubt, whether it's customer service or marketing or, when in doubt, like we never ever risk tomorrow's trust for today. Like a brand is the compounding of trust over time. So,
bro, that just mic drop right there at the end. Let's go. I love that so much, bro. Well, thanks for taking the time, man. I appreciate it a ton. We talked about getting one of your surfboards in the studio, in the podcast studio, hanging up somewhere.
Oh, let's do it. That'd be awesome.
Thanks for the time, man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on.